Well, welcome back. You know, a big hug from a friend, holding hands with your partner, or a spontaneous kiss from your child. When it comes to touch, little things really do matter. And not only because they feel good, but because touch affects our physical and our brain, our mental health. However, many people are lacking touch in their lives, and it's actually called touch hunger. This is so interesting to me, Marti.
Isn't it, though?
Developmental psychologist and Mom Enough podcast host Dr. Marti Erickson's here to talk about this because, you know, I'm a very touchy-feely person, as you know.
Yes.
We've known each other a long time.
And I love that.
So, and I always do that. But it's much more than just the actual physical touch. It goes right up to your brain. So talk a little bit about that connection. Why it's so important.
Well, there are sensors in our skin, and particularly the parts of our body that have a little hair. You know, it's not as noticeable on women usually, but those are particularly acute kinds of sensors, and they send a message to our brain, and then our brain produces chemicals in response to those messages. And so when you experience gentle touch, tender touch, especially kind of slow rhythmic stroking, our brains produce less cortisol, which is a stress hormone and can cause us to have anxiety, gain weight. I mean, all sorts of things, have mental health problems of various types. And then our bodies really spike up oxytocin and other hormones that are calming hormones and that make us feel good and warm toward the people around us.
So that's the positivity.
This is really, yeah, exactly.
So, and you, before we get to all the bullet points, you did get a lot of pointers from this book here and this gentleman. So talk about that for a moment.
Yes, well, Dr. Michael Bannacy is a neuroscientist and psychologist in Bristol, England, and his agent pitched him to our podcast. We get lots and lots of pitches. He was one of the best guests I think we've ever had, and his book called Touch Matters is really terrific. It's written for general audiences, and it's just packed with information. So I'm just highlighting a few things here. This is research I know too because of my work in attachment, and we know that touch is very important in building a secure attachment with your baby and on through your child's development.
Yeah, like right away they put, you know, that whole skin to skin, that's so important. And
exactly.
So it's not just, you know, it's for so many reasons. Okay, so let's talk in specifics, how to get the type and amount of touch that you and your family need. So figuring out what you need, how much,
yes,
or what's maybe too much for some. Reflect on how you experience touch in your life right now.
That's right. And you know, a lot of us have really felt this touch hunger because of the pandemic, because our devices get between us and the people close to us. So there are lots of reasons that we're not touching as much as we used to. And so what we want to do is look back and think about what are the kinds of touch that we really like, and what are the things that I would like to change about the touch in our family, for example. Are we taking time to give each other a pat on the back or hold hands? I remember my husband and I both went to a marriage retreat years ago, and we were told to walk in the woods, you know, by ourselves, and then write a list of the 5 things, the 5 times that we feel most in love in our relationship. And we each came up with the same 5 things. It was just kind of amazing. But at the top was holding hands when we would go run errands on Saturday morning. And we'd leave our kids with a teenage neighbor, and you know, that was really significant, but we have really tried to keep that kind of thing going.
So it has to be intentional.
Call. It does, yeah.
And so let's do the next one.
Yeah.
Talk about this with your family. So talk about it.
Yes, so you reflect it within yourself first, but then bring it up with your family. And you know, our family loves to pile on the couch. We have a big sectional at our California house, and when the kids come out there, adult kids and our 5 grandkids, we put on our pajamas early and we snuggle up on that sectional and watch a movie together. And you know, even these teenage boys, but it's a real important thing, and it just makes us all feel so good. So really talk together about what feels good, what doesn't feel good. Kids go through a stage where they're not so keen on it, perhaps.
Yep.
Yeah.
Yep.
So
I
really
know
talk
that.
about it.
I try to start each day with, well, whichever child is home, I try to start each day just like before you even say anything, before you even say good morning, just a big hug.
Oh, it's
and
great.
then move along with that. My
That's
son
great.
a little bit more than my daughter
Yeah.
right now. Okay, so be intentional and about integrating more touch into your interactions.
Yeah, really think about, that's great. Start your day that way, or greet the kids when they come home from school, or when you all get home from work or whatever. Have those moments of hugging. Just, stroke your child's shoulder, or, give your husband a pat on the back when he's had a rough day. Little things like that, but really be intentional about it, and then build in some rituals, like our TV thing is, our movie thing.
Yeah.
Because we're not sit-down people very much, but that's a time when we really, really connect with each other.
And last but not least, be sensitive to what your loved ones say in words and actions.
Yeah, and this is so important, when we're building attachment with our babies, because a lot of times we want to pinch their cheeks or tickle them, or, do stimulating things, and they might be giving us signals that they just want to be left alone. So we have to respect that at every age, and really just pay attention to what it is that people like. And sometimes that comes in nonverbal cues, and respect that, because it's sensitive touch that matters most.
I was with my nephew's babies yesterday, who I love, and I of course want to hug them all the time, but you want to be respectful.
Yeah.
So I always say, well, can I see how much you weigh? And so I pick them up and hold them, but I'm really just wanting to hold them. But I'm like, oh my goodness, you're
That's a
gaining
good
weight.
one.
Yeah, just like a little bit of
Yeah.
a fool thing, but it's. I think it makes me feel better. Hopefully, it makes them feel as good as it makes me feel. So
Exactly.
Thank you so much. So this is part of one of your podcasts, then.
Yes, this is the podcast that's featured this week, and I tell you, it's really a good one. But check out the book.
Check out the book.
I'm not paid to do this, and I don't usually recommend specific books, but this one was so interesting, such a fun read, and really important stuff about how we can improve our health and our mental health. This affects the immune system too, so really good reasons
So
to
important
learn
with the
about it
mental health.
and do it.
Yes. So thank you so much. We
Sure.
appreciate it, Dr. Marti. So for more information on this topic, you can tune into this week's Mom Enough podcast, and we have a link to get all of the podcasts on KARE11.com. Well, coming up next,